Ow! Are you bluesed and confused? Because I'm always confused, but every once in a while I'm bluesed. So today we're talking about the big problem with the blues scale. At least it's a problem that I had. A lot of students I would work with would come to me and they knew the blues scale, and we would conquer this problem together, and it opens up a lot of possibilities and doors for them. So tabs are linked down below. I'll also have them in the video if you want to check them out. And let's dive on into this one and see what the blues problem is. All right, so the overall problem, and I have 3 different licks here that I'm going to show you, but the overarching problem I feel with the blues scale is the way it's typically taught, and I'm guilty of teaching it this way too, and the way that it is learned, the way that we view the blues scale. Because a lot of people, you know, I would ask them, like, do you know the blues scale? Students would come in, and they'd be like, yeah, I know the blues scale, and then they would play, and I'd be like, cool, play it somewhere else. And then be like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, that's like box 1 blues. What about moving up to box 2? You know, as I almost missed the note, and they'd be like, "Oh, I never did that before." I'm like, "Oh, no, well, the blues scale is not just that one box; it's all over the place." So, really, if you want to get the most out of this lesson and the blues scale in general, to kind of know where we are when I'm talking about this stuff, is you need to be able to learn the blues scale everywhere. And a good way to do that is just notice what note, your blues note is. That's your flat 5. It's right in between the D and the E. So anywhere you have a D note, you know you have, that's just your blues area right there. Okay? So that's the first thing, is you really have to know the scale all over the neck, not just in one position. This, that's not the blues scale. That's a position of the blues scale. So to me, knowing the blues scale is knowing it everywhere. So that's the first thing. Now, the way that it's taught is it is taught in boxes, very much like the pentatonic scale. And a lot of times, just like with the pentatonic scale, it's easy to get stuck in the boxes. And you're kind of like, okay, there's my blues note, there's my blues note, and we don't look past that box. Like, you need to start combining the boxes together. So that's the big problem. So let's go ahead and start tackling this with example number 1. So example 1's pretty simple, but there's a little bit more than what meets the eye. So hang in there, the next 2 get a little bit more fancy on you. Okay, so you've probably I've done very similar licks to that before, and you probably have. There's just a slight variation that I want to throw in here on top of a normal, whatever your normal blues lick is. Notice how I slid down, and it looks like a note that's like, whoa, that's kind of a weird note. No. Well, that's actually our flat 5. So again, if you know your blues scale in all 5 positions, you know that in box 5, your flat 5 is right there. Now, a lot of the times, if you're in box 1, people tend to only play the blues note on that 8th fret of the G, and sometimes 6th fret on the A. And that's it. That's the blues notes in that box for most people. And it's like, well, you actually have a really cool one right back here out of box 5, So what I'm doing is I'm bending up 7 on the G. And I'm going to go to 5 on the B and 5 on the high E string, that classic kind of like bluesy. I'm rolling my finger. I'm going to go 5 on the B to 5 on the high E string. Now I go to 8 on the high E string and I bend it up a full step. Okay, real classic, almost like Stevie Ray Vaughan sounding lick. Okay, now after I bend that 8 on the high E string up a full step, I go all the way up. I'm going to go back to 5 on the high E string and 5 on the B. So it's kind of like we're just backtracking the path that we just, we're walking. But instead of going back to that 7, I'm going to slide down to 4. Okay? We're already, hopefully, like I said, when I saw, I got this from a guy named Sean Tubbs, amazing guitar player. Sean's a buddy of mine. Make sure you check him out on here. Such a phenomenal player. He's one of my favorite players just ever. And so we have this. Okay, sliding down that flat 5 there. Now it's the same note that we would do up here, but that's kind of a hard jump to go to. You know, that's really not an option. So I'm using the flat 5 that's down here out of my box 5. Okay, then I'm going to go to 5 on the G, 5 on the D, and I slide up to that 7 and resolve it to a root. You can do other stuff with it, but this is just, I wanted to kind of like dip our toes in the little bit. All right, example number 2. Okay, so what's going on here? Notice how now we're connecting box 1, box 2, and even venturing into box 3 a little bit here with this one. And I'm just using the blues scale to connect this stuff, but it's not sounding, I'm not going like... There's none of those breaks, you know, it's not like lick, lick, lick. It's kind of like one flowing motion. Oh, maybe, yeah, that's what it, oh, I did it right. I psyched myself out. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm starting on not a root note or anything like that. I'm starting on my 4th. 4. So I'm going to go 5th fret on the A string and I slide up to 6. Boom, right. I'm calling that flat 5 out. I'm going right to it. I'm not going... That's the way you normally do it. Right in order. We don't want it in order. We're going to skip the 5th and go right down to that flat 7. So that's 5th fret on the D. So, okay, then I go to 7 on the D. There's your root note. Okay, I'm going to go to 5 on the G, 7 on the G. I hammer on to 8. So, okay, there's your standard classic blues area. But what I'm not going to do is I don't want to just stay in this box anymore. I'm going to use the flat 5 here as my transition note, boom, to slide up to box number 2. So, okay, I go to that 8, slide up to 9 on the G. Then 8 on the B. Slide up to 10 on the B. So now we're like full-blown box 2. Back to that 8 on the high string, like I said, and then 10 on the B, and I'm going to slide up now to 13 on the B, bend it up a full step, add a vibrato if you want to, bend it in pitch, which I was like all over the place, and I'm just end right there. You know, you don't always have to resolve to your root note. But notice how I went from box 1, box 2, up to box 3, and I could keep going. You know. A lot you can do with that one, but you can hopefully you can see how we're navigating around. There's the lick number 3. Now this one is, you know, it utilizes your flat 5 much, you know, just kind of more at the end of the lick. You know, the first part starts out, it doesn't really sound bluesy. And then I wanted to make it sound a little bluesy, so I bend the flat 5. Bending your blues note is so important and cool. And a lot of times you don't do it. Usually it's used as almost like a passing tone. It's just there for a second. People, you know, they'll do like stuff like that. But I'm like, oh, I love the way it sounds when someone lands on the flat 5 and bends it. And that's exactly what I did. Right there. Almost like a Angus Young kind of sounding lick. So I'm starting right here, and like I said, I'm basically outlining an A minor chord. A little triad shape here. So I go 14, pull off to 12 on the G. Okay, then I go to 14 on the D. So think of this again, box number 4. But we're doing blues box. Oh, sorry. Right there. So again, I'm going to go up here, and I do that 14, pull off to 12 on the G, 14 on the D, then 12, hammer on 14 on the G. I always call those like as a kickoff point. Now I'm going to go to 13 on the B, and then 12 on the high string. So that's an A minor chord right there. You know, a little triad thrown in there. And that's just in your normal pentatonic. Again, we haven't done anything blues scale yet. Okay, I go back to 13 on the B. And here's where we flip that switch on and it's blues mode time. I slide up. I play at 13 and slide into 16, which is my flat 5. I bend it up a half step. Okay? Then I go to 15. Then here we get, ended bluesy, baby. We're gonna go 17 on the G to 14 on the G. And then you wrap it all up with a BB King style. 17 on the high string. You can let it slide off if you want to, or like, do something else. But I just like the way that one. Oh, maybe. That's gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Like I said, it was just when I started kind of piecing that stuff together, it helped me a lot, and it just made me realize how much more powerful the blues scale can be if it's, you can still use it in that, very traditional way. That is a sound. That's a very important and crucial sound to have in your arsenal. But you can also tweak it a little bit and get these kind of like non-bluesy sounds out of it. And then if you want to go back to blues, blues it up. So other than that, I'm going to bounce it out of here, guys. Like I said before, thank you so much for watching. If you would, subscribe, check out other videos. And I'm going to bounce on out of here. If you made it to the end, we got a hashtag. A lot of you guys have been making it to the end here. Hashtag end it bluesy. End it bluesy. Come on, out of here, guys. Woo!